Well, hi there, and welcome to another video on the I Want You to Open Your Window Right Now channel. I hope that everybody understands that reference. If not, you got to go back and watch my original video on this channel. But welcome aboard, and Trump's been, today's about the 1st of February, and Trump's been in office for about 10 days now, and boy, oh boy, things have been going nuts, and I guess this latest thing is this temporary travel restrictions from several Middle Eastern countries, and Trump is basically doing precisely what he said he would during the election, as far as I can tell, and it's fascinating to me just to see the reaction, and this isn't about left versus right. This isn't about, like when I went to college, what I would discuss with my econ professor, Econ 101 with John Rourke at my college. This isn't about like, okay, so if we cut capital gains tax, that might stimulate economic development. But is it morally right to give, rich investors a tax break to benefit everyone, when in the short term what you're doing is favoring the rich? So that's a left-right argument, like sort of like, okay, do we put idealism or fairness ahead of sensible policy? And you could have an opinion that comes from a left perspective that's valid, as you can from a right perspective. And that's, to me, what the left-right divide was about, was we all assume we want to be a happy future and mutually prosperous and at peace with our neighbors and our families healthy and safe and prosperous. But we just differed, left versus right, on how we would get there. But I'll tell you what, that's not what I'm seeing. And this temporary ban, and you notice how at first, the first few days, it was like, oh my gosh, it's Hitler, oh, fascism, and then it kind of has graduated towards, well, yeah, it's maybe not as bad, or they don't really admit it's not as bad as they had said, but they just changed the subject to, well, but look at how they rolled it out. They didn't talk to anybody. They didn't go through channels. I'm not sure if these people, I can't blame all these people for being confused, because they bought into so-called disruptive change with Obama, but that's not what they got. They got status quo. And but here with Trump in the White House, we have someone who is pushing transformative change. And yeah, you're damn right. He didn't go through the normal procedures of notifying all the agency heads and waiting a comment period. No. He said, here's an existential threat, and I can do something about it. I'm going to do it. And I think in his calculus, he's like, yeah, there'll be some churn, but we'll deal with it. Best to just get it done. We can't wait. And just to see the hysterics that have followed is really hard to fathom, coming, when you think the way I do, and hopefully the way you do too. Let me know. But let's go ahead and switch over. I'm going to show you, this is very typical of the reaction that we were getting, basically from mainstream media. This is a CNN clip from shortly after the thing came out. And I want you to just listen to, number one, how they frame the issue, and then two, just the predictable kind of responses. It's, they're really trying to dumb us down, I think, and see what you think.
And let's talk about this with Edward Ahmed Mitchell. He is the executive director of the Council on American Islamic Relations in Georgia, and Brian Robinson, Republican strategist and former assistant chief of staff for communications for Georgia Governor, Nathan Deal. Thank you both for being here. It was interesting watching both of you watch that piece. Yep. And you're both smiling, and kind of laughing with this family. What's your reaction to this executive order?
Well, look, as an American, as a Muslim, as an attorney, I'm offended on all counts. And let's be clear, these executive orders are not about keeping America safe. They're about keeping America racially, culturally, and religiously monolithic. President Trump, over the past year and for longer, has expressed animus towards Muslims and refugees. He's appointed Steve Bannon, a white nationalist, as a senior advisor, Michael Flynn, an anti-Muslim bigot, as his national security advisor, and he took advice from one of the people who helped write Arizona's anti-immigration bill. So these executive orders are just a natural and logical end result of all of that bigotry. But you've human toll that it will take on people in this country and people around the world.
Brian, your reaction to that?
I think so much of what he said reflects why so many Americans voted for Donald Trump, because they're tired of being called bigots. They're not wanting to see their country change so much, so fast.
So that typifies the point I want to talk about right now. And I mean, you get your sort of knee-jerk reaction, hysterical. Oh, it's all racist. It's all racist. Of course, it's bigoted. That's the lens. But notice no discussion. He's offended as a lawyer and as a Muslim. Okay, great. But so what's the problem with the order? I mean, that was 90 seconds of histrionics and zero, like, what don't you like about the order? I know that you're offended by the fact that the man is the president and that he gets to issue an order, but in all that time he had to respond, he didn't really say what's wrong with the order, because he hasn't read it, okay? Because these guys are going knee-jerk based on an emotional reaction. They just heard Muslim ban and they just freak out. It's crazy. And then this guy. Okay, so they wheel in some stuffed shirt from the Washington Beltway insiders to give the Republican position, and he goes, you notice how he accepts the premise of the whole question, And he goes, well, I know it's, everybody wants to talk about bigotry, but I think, a lot of people just don't want their country to change so fast. No, it's not that we don't want our country to change. We want our country to progress and get better and everything. That's not what this is about. Let me just remind you here. I'll take you on a little tour. Before Trump came into office, you remember this story? ISIS has passport printing machine, right? This is ABC News talking about this. Let's see. Remember this one? All right, so now I'm going to show you this report. It's from late 2015 on ABC News. And this is about the terrorists, ISIS, having passport equipment to fake their IDs and stuff. Watch this.
And here at home tonight, the FBI arresting a terror suspect in Minnesota. The 20-year-old Somali American accused of supporting ISIS in Syria and Iraq. He allegedly tried to help 9 men leave the U.S. and join the terror group. Authorities saying he helped pay for at least one of their passports. We turn now to an ABC News investigation tonight, a troubling new development just 1 month after the terror attacks in Paris. You'll remember this image. Authorities say one of the alleged suicide bombers using this fake passport to slip into Europe among the Syrian refugees. Tonight, a chilling new warning. ISIS now has its hands on at least one official passport printing machine. ABC's chief investigative correspondent Brian Ross on the concern those fake passports could be used here.
With the U.S. and other countries on high alert tonight for ISIS attacks, American authorities are warning the terror group may have infiltrated followers into this country with authentic-looking passports it has printed itself, almost impossible to detect.
So we can leave it at that, but I just wanted to show you that because, the idea that these guys are acting like it's so ridiculous that there's a security threat. This isn't about hating all Muslims, okay? They need to chill on that thing. It's not about hating all Muslims. This is the ban, the 7 countries. Syria, where there's obviously this giant war. Libya, where we invaded in 2012 under, genius Hillary. And Obama, thanks a lot. Iraq, obviously, our 2003 war. Iran, we're at fisticuffs with because of their pursuit of nuclear weapons and their interference with our attempts to extricate ourselves from Iraq, right? Yemen has been going to crap. Saudi Arabia has been bombing the hell out of them, and we've been helping. And Sudan and Somalia are just a nightmare. They're just basically almost failed states, right? So this isn't about the fact that those people are Muslim. Okay, it's, obviously that's a factor because one of the things we're mainly concerned about is the spread of radical Islam and the pronouncements from the ISIS people over there that they will use the stream of refugees to hide bad guys within that stream and then attack us from within. They're telegraphing their moves. They said it. So it's not like the ban is nuts, is it? And it's number 2, it's what is the reason for it? The reason for the ban is because these are not just Muslim countries, because many people have pointed out Saudi Arabia is a Muslim country, Egypt's a Muslim country, right? Lebanon is a Muslim country, and there's no ban there. Not to mention, what about the nations of the whole world. The one I was thinking of, Indonesia just now, 200 million people, Muslim majority, but that's not what it's about. These are countries where the state is either in a state of failure, like Libya, Sudan, Yemen, Somalia, or in Iraq, essentially, or uncooperative with us because of hostilities, Syria, Iran, right? So, in other words, and this came out in Obama administration reports in 2015, that these 7 countries are of particular interest because they are not able to or willing to cooperate with our efforts to do vetting. So if we're letting refugees in, the vetting process they go through, everyone, you'll hear the people on TV saying, oh, they vetted them for 2 weeks or 2 years, 24 months, how much vetting do you need? But that's true in general, that those are the requirements that we've put. But Obama administration said that these 7 countries on the screen, these 7 countries right here, were not able to assist us because their governments are failed states or they're uncooperative. So I don't get it. I don't get it. This makes nothing but sense once you look at it. And P.S., by the way, freakazoids that are like screaming in the street about Hitler and, putting on vagina costumes and going to the airport. I mean, what the hell is going on out there? But not for nothing, by the way, it's 90-day ban. Okay, the ban is a small part of the executive order. The executive order is to have a temporary ban, okay? But then during that 90-day period, work on a plan to okay, so if the traditional vetting won't work, what can we do to make sure? Can we do some enhanced tracking? Can we, check in with visits after they come? Or can we get references from other people that we know have been vetted? So they're going to work out, I think, all those details. And then theoretically, if they can get any cooperation from the other side, in those chaotic countries, then I think the ban could be lifted. So, I mean, this seems to be just good policy. It just makes sense. And I think Donald Trump, President Trump, he's baiting these idiots. He really, I noticed something else. Let's take a quick look at this. The 7 countries, right? They're all the countries that we've been meddling in. Okay, we have really been meddling in these countries. And there's I guess I probably wouldn't have had Yemen on that list, and I might have had Lebanon before. But look at Wesley Clark. This is kind of a famous talk that he gave. It's been often cited, but he's talking about General Wesley Clark, who used to be in the Joint Chiefs leadership in the government during the Clinton and Bush years. He was a presidential candidate, I want to say, in 2000 and 2004. But he said that he went to the Pentagon to follow up with his people after he had retired, and was checking in with them on how the Iraq thing is going. And he told a tale about how a plan had come down from upstairs about like the United States government attacking 7 countries in 5 years. Check this out.
I don't know. He said, I guess they don't know what else to do. So I said, well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda? He said, no. He says, there's nothing new that way. They've just made the decision to go to war with Iraq. He said, I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we got a good military and we can take down governments. And he said, I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail. So I came back to see him a few weeks later. And by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, are we still going to war with Iraq? And he said, oh, it's worse than that. He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper. He said, I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today. And he said, this is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran.
You catch that, guys? Did you catch that one? So these are the countries, we know they're destabilized because Trump's predecessor, those warmongering administrations of President Obama and George W. Bush, sorry, facts are facts, they were actively working to destabilize these 7 countries for the past 16 years. And frankly, the Clinton admin was in on this too. Remember all this bombing in Bosnia, stirring the Muslims up back then. So, they've been working on this for 20, 25 years. And, Trump now is definitely changing things in that his worldview is not so much Republican as it is nationalist. It's sort of a rejection, not that we're going to be isolationist or turn into Mussolini and Hitler. It's not like that. What it is, though, it's like for the last 75 years, and more particularly the last 40, since we went off the gold standard, basically, we've been running this like an empire. I think our strategy has been to kind of like dominate the world under this new world order. And it sounds benign when they, talk about it in grand terms, like, well, we'll bring countries together and we'll standardize systems and, we'll kind of begin long-range partnerships like the European Union and then maybe the North American Union. I mean, I think the European Union is a great example. That's bureaucracy on top of bureaucracy, and it's no surprise that the UK wanted to pull out of that mess. Imagine having a federal government on top of your national government, and they're barely even beholden to the voters, and they're able to impose all these fees and rules and stuff. No. That's not the pendulum that we're going. So I think the nationalist model, the Trump model, the America First model, is strong, independent, and sovereign nation states that peacefully cooperate with other sovereign nation states of goodwill. I mean, that's the Vladimir Putin, Donald Trump, Marie Le Pen, that's the model, man. And then the Angela Merkel, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Jacques Chirac, all that model is towards the global governance and all that jazz. And we're just not down with it. And I think if you got to start thinking in terms of, global hegemony of the American system versus like take care of our own business at home. Trump is just Ron Paul with a big mouth and a little bit more militarism, and which I think is good as long as it's defensive in nature. So this Muslim ban talk, I just think that it's so disingenuous, very, very disingenuous for these people to freak out as if, some of the commentary we've been hearing, like our fine gentleman here, talking about, it's racist and bigoted and it's the natural extension of the crap they've been shoveling. I'm sorry, I don't go for that. There's our fellow right there. And it's almost like a pantomime of opinion, like, do these people, did they even read the ban or the executive order, of which a ban is only a temporary small part of? It's really designed to fix a problem in screening that had previously been identified but had not been acted upon. And there was a lot of campaign rhetoric, or we should ban Muslims or whatever, and that's Trump being Trump. He's a outspoken guy, and he does, it's nice that he shares his thoughts with you directly. He's not full of crap. He tells you what he really thinks. Sometimes his thoughts aren't fully formed when he talks. I think that's true of all outspoken people, present company included. So, I think people that like to go around and criticize our new president on a tit-for-tat basis, they're going to find themselves disappointed. Well, look, that's what I have for you today. Just want you to keep the faith, and I'm dedicating this channel to sort of keeping it honest. And right now, the debate and discussion about the so-called Muslim ban is not honest. All right? So let's set them straight, people. I want to know what you think. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you'll do it again.